Josh is asking, curious what kind of insurance you have for liability and also what company provides your insurance. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that depends on what kind of insurance you're talking about. I mean, if you're talking about, your general liability, which is, things like fire and theft, and then of course your slip and fall insurance, that's one question. And the other question would be if you're actually referring to professional liability insurance, and that's your errors and omissions insurance, also sometimes known as malpractice insurance, or if you're talking about product liability insurance. And that's really surrounding something going wrong with your herbal blends or products that you're selling through your business. And so there are these three different sort of insurance conundrums that as unlicensed professionals we have to consider. This is something that I definitely talk a lot about in my program, The Business of Clinical Herbal Practice. And he's saying here, okay, I mean the practitioner malpractice insurance. Okay. So there's not really a lot of options available to clinical herbalists for practitioner liability insurance. There is an option available if you become a registered herbalist member of the American Herbalist Guild. We do have access to some coverage through that membership. There's a third-party provider that is kind of grandfathered us into their okay list. We will insure you list. But outside of that, I think there's maybe only one or two other options that I have heard about that I've not really spent any time investigating. But one of the things that I'll say is, there's a real philosophical issue here when it comes to practitioner liability insurance and this idea of errors and omissions and malpractice, right? My goal and everything that I do is to not cause harm. And everything that I do in the journey of when my client first arrives to my website, all the way into our first session, all the way through in perpetuity for how long we end up working together, is all about building trust and is all about putting safety first. I have pretty substantial and thorough systems in place to make sure that the client is very clear about expectations. The client's very clear that I am not a licensed professional. I mean, I am a professional, but I don't carry any license, that there's no oversight for my profession, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My informed consent disclosure form is pretty rock solid. And in the signing of that form, there is a release, a waiver of responsibility. They are releasing me of liability based on the choices and decisions that they make as a result of my suggestions. I also have a very thorough client onboarding process whereby I am very, very particular about who it is I will work with privately. My free clinic is another story. That's open to anybody. But my private practice, there is quite an onboarding process that I go through to make sure that the relationship between client and practitioner is safe for both parties. That is front and center. And so this is a really quick and dirty way of saying that I think I do not believe that practitioner liability insurance is as critical for clinical herbalists as it is for other licensed professionals. And if you want to know more about my perspectives on this matter, you should join the Herbal Practice Connection or consider my Business of Clinical Herbal Practice mentorship, which starts in March. How's that? I hope that's okay.
That's a great answer. I didn't realize that being a registered herbalist with the American Herbalist Guild, you had that option to have some sort of insurance, but everything else you said made a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.